So we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's Damien, aka Sleepy Reader. I have my guest here, whose name apparently is Deathwalker.
Deathwalker.
I forgot to ask you about that. I'm a little scared. I don't. Is
No,
Deathwalker from a comic book? I don't even know if that comes from anything.
actually, it's a comic book character I created. And
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
and I actually drew and everything. Maybe next time, if we do this next time,
Right.
I'll bring a picture and show it. I drew it. Oh, it seems like back like in 1942. But it was a long time ago. I think it was
Yeah.
in the
Well,
90s.
we talked about how a lot of us have thought about being comic book artists at some time in our life, and
Yeah,
it's part of why we're comic book fans, because we love the art, or
yeah,
one of the reasons.
yeah.
But I haven't really introduced you. This is not only Deathwalker. This is John. I'm afraid I'm going to mispronounce your last name.
Say it.
John's. I don't even have it in front of me. Let's see. I could read it off my phone. John Spiliotopoulus.
That's good. Good. Spiliotopoulus. But that was good. That was
But
good.
I've met you through Travis Bueller, Comics with Bueller, who always calls you John Spilio to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
What do you go by? People know you from chats, like on especially on Robbie's show, I think, and
on the experience.
on the experience, and back when there actually were those Monday morning comics and coffee shows on Bueller, you were always on those, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I got nicknamed John Castle, Spiliotopoulus, because I'm a huge, huge Punisher fan.
That castle. Okay, I wondered where the castle.
So, like, I bought a lot of stuff on the experience, the Punisher. So I got nicknamed that. But for like a very long time, my nickname was Spilio, especially like in the military, when I was in the military and growing up, because my real name, which I should have put it on.
It's not even John, right? It's something harder to pronounce.
Yeah, it's Ioannis Athanasius Spiliotopoulos. That's my real name. And I make a joke about it saying, but you could call me John.
So is that related to the name Ian in the British?
No, Ioannis is just Greek for John.
Oh, it is just Greek.
Yeah.
I think Ian is just like Celtic for John or something.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. But the nickname for in Greek is Yanni, which a lot of people know Yanni from the musician back in the 90s, 80s, 90s. So,
right.
And Athanasius is Greek for Tommy, my father's name.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what did they call you around the house?
They call me Ioannis or Yanni.
Ioannis.
They do.
Or Yanni. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. When I go back to New Jersey, it's all Greek. I shouldn't say all Greek. It's mostly Greek. It's back and forth.
In the neighborhood that you grew up in.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with my father, my brothers, and my stepmom, who's actually my mom. They'll talk back and forth Greek and English, Greek. And like, I can understand Greek. I can't really speak it. I used to, and I lost it, which upsets me. I want to get it back, but I can understand it.
And had time to hang out, it might start coming back into your brain.
Yeah, that's what I do. And also, like, when people talk to me in Greek, I would say "saga saga," which means slow down, because when they speak, they're like that. I tell them to slow down because I could catch maybe every other word, and then I could put the sentence together. So, yeah.
Well, when did you start having to call yourself John? At school or later on?
It was in school because I have 2 birth certificates. So the first, I don't know why. I don't know why they didn't get rid of the original one. The original says Ioannis Athanasius Spiliotopoulos. But my mom changed it. I can't remember when. She changed it when I think I was 6 years old to John, because she thought I would get bullied, because of the name and people wouldn't understand and all stuff like that, and I'm a little upset. I wish it stayed Ioannis and just call me John.
So on your taxes and on your paycheck, it says
it's
John.
All John now. My my high school diploma says Ioannis. I tried to get my driver's license Ioannis because I like it. So, but it's funny that you bring that up. Brittany and I actually have been talking about changing my name legally back to Ioannis because I really, really, I make fun of being Greek and the Greek history, but I'm really, really proud of being a Greek.
I think you should do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's something to be proud of, and it's a connection to the past and just to who you really are. So
Yeah. I like I said, I like my Greek heritage. I've been to Greece, I think 4 times. I don't remember the first time. I was 5, but and maybe later I'll tell you that's when I got my first drunk. I got drunk at 5 years old. So
it's been downhill ever since.
Typical Greek, and I was baptized Greek Orthodox and everything. So, and Brittany loves being a Spiliotopoulus. Brittany is my wife. Anybody doesn't know. Brittany loves her last name. I actually told her, I was like, are you going to take my name when we got married? She goes, hell yeah. I can't wait. She goes, I've been practicing for years, on the signature, and everything. So she's also proud of Greek heritage, and she is an amazing cook, right? And she cooks Greek food so well. So, yeah.
So let me just look. Travis Comics with Bueller was here before the show started, making his usual joke about someone's height.
Yeah.
But we're actually both midgets. He's just a slightly bigger one than me. No, but anyway, we have Travis to thank for being friends because you guys met, and Travis told me, "Oh, you're gonna love John when you meet him," and that was one of the reasons to come down to MegaCon.
I have to say, MegaCon,
to meet you and your wife Brittany.
Yeah, MegaCon this past in February was so much fun, and not to blow smoke up your ass, you were.
I was trying to blow it up Travis's ass.
Yeah. But you were one of the bright spots, and I should say loved hanging out with you, and with the panels and walking around, and it was so nice, to meet you and other people too, which we haven't met before, but you were the bright spot of the vacation, and you have to go next year.
Well, I met a lot of good friends, but I feel like you were my new best friend.
Yes. Yeah, I feel the same way too.
So we got a 9-panel grid here who has an awesome channel. Anyone who doesn't know, I've already talked about him in my last video.
Hey, 9-panel.
Great new. He just started his channel recently. Does some great stuff. La Raza, who has been on YouTube as long as I have, great woman living over in England, and the awesome Brittany Castle Spiliotopoulus.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, there she is. She's watching too.
Love you.
She's a wonderful person. I had an awesome time meeting.
She is the best thing that's next to my son being born. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And
she put up with all of us comic book fans for like 4 days straight. That's probably some kind of record for a spouse.
Yeah. You know what? Secretly, she loves it. She will never say it. But she just loves, she's a huge Star Trek fan. So comics was, just an easier, comics was an easy love for her and all, but Star Trek is her main love. So, other than that, and Disney, of course.
You guys are a great couple. Just
thank you. Yeah.
And we've got Naman, the comic book bookworm.
I should tell.
Naman is a great guy. We got Robbie.
Look at that.
That was so great to meet Robbie too.
I love that guy.
Every positive thing I already thought about Robbie was magnified.
Oh yes,
10 times in person. So
we met last year, first time at MegaCon, and it was so funny. I was so nervous to meet Robbie, So, and then when we did, it was just like with you, we clicked, and it was just so much fun. And then the convention was like an afterthought. You know what I mean? We were with friends, and then the convention. So, which I like, because look, I know I don't look it, but no, I'm 53. I've been to so many conventions.
Yeah, you do not look it.
Oh, thank you. It's the camera. We've been to so many conventions, Star Trek conventions, comic book conventions. We did the stars, signature pictures and all stuff like that. And where are they now? They're in a tub in the attic, so we're not too much with the actors and actresses to meet them. Now, I don't mind looking at them to see how they look, like walking by, but that part is over with. So, the convention I like to enjoy more, I think, like what you do, is the older artists, the ones that are, I hate to say this, but forgotten, in this age, which makes me sad, but I enjoy that part more, and comic book hunting here and there, of course. Right. But the main thing is seeing friends. And that's what I liked about, meeting Bueller and Robbie for the first time, last year. And we need to do that more than just once a year.
It's like a 1-2 punch. You kind of get to know people on YouTube or on Instagram, and then you get to meet them in person, and so you already have some connection with them, and then you really build upon that quickly.
Absolutely.
I think, when you meet in person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, Robbie and Bueller are like 1A, 1B of people that I watched on YouTube, because I really liked what they did. And Robbie was the first one that I found that was reviewing comics, right? And not just reviewing comics, like really diving deep into comics. So I enjoyed that. And then I found Bueller's channel with the Comics with Coffee, and I really liked that too. Hey.
Yes, we've been talking about MegaCon, and Hialeah Comic Pro was another fantastic person to meet in person.
Wasn't he a loser to you and me at Domino's?
I think so.
I think so. I think so.
It was a very humbling experience for poor Hialeah. Or you could say he was a great teacher of Domino's.
Yes, he was. He taught us very well. Amazing time. Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun.
He's an awesome guy. So we're all going to do it again next year, I think.
Absolutely. We already got our hotel.
Okay, I need to get a hotel room.
Yes. Yeah, if you want, happy loser, right?
I think later Hialeah was winning in another game.
No, he won. Yeah, we had the beginner's luck.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Hialeah is a very smart guy. Very smart guy.
So, yeah.
We had to be lucky.
But later on, let me know, because Brittany, actually sent, I forget what it was, Travago, or it was one of those that we sent to Robbie. And because Robbie got a hotel room too, and they're only $74 a night if you get them now. Okay. So I'll have Brittany send you the info.
Yeah, I'll book them this weekend or something.
Oh, that would be awesome, because I can't. I know it's a year away, but I can't wait. So
Well, we'll have to have you out here to the Pacific Northwest sometime.
I would love that. Brittany's sister lives out there.
Oh, cool.
A little bit north of you. I don't remember exactly where.
I think we talked about it. It's not too far.
No, and we could,
something out.
Hit two birds with one stone. So that would be nice. So
we decided that we would talk about John's his history as a comic book reader and collector. And was your whole childhood in New Jersey?
Yes. Yeah. Up to 18 years old.
And do you remember your first comic book or where you
bought yes.
it or found it?
Hang on.
You might have it with you. Wow.
I have it right here.
Nice.
Yep. That was the first comic that I ever read. So, I remember.
Show it again. What era Flash is that?
That was in 1980, 88, 84.
Was
82.
it Wally or was it?
It's Barry.
Barry. Okay.
Actually, that is the one issue that Barry kills the Reverse Flash, where he.
Oh. Wow.
That was my first comic. I was like, "What the hell?" What the hell's going on around here? I was like, "Who's killing who?" And wait, So yeah, I think I was. It was 82, so I must have been. What is that? 12 years old.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
And I first read comics at 10, so I think that's a good age.
Yeah.
To discover them.
I knew comics beforehand. I knew comics beforehand, but I wasn't really reading them. I was like looking at them, and I'll tell you why and how that happened and all stuff like that.
So where were your comics coming from? The ones that you saw before you read them?
I started middle school, okay? And in New Jersey, middle school was 7th and 8th grade, right?
That's how it was when I went to school too. Yeah. Okay. They've changed it since.
Yeah, you could see it right there, both of them. So tell him, I'm representing, okay? So it was Eastover Middle School, and it actually was the first year that Eastover was a middle school, because for a long time it was just elementary. But the reason why he went to a middle school, and I'll say more later, because the Joe Kubert school bought out the middle school that everybody was using. It'll make sense later.
So you went to the middle school that became the Joe Kubert school?
I missed it.
Oh, you missed it.
I missed it. The last year was before I got there. So Eastover was the first year when I went as a middle school. And on the corner was a store that used to, it was Carmen's store. It used to be called Carmen's. It was like a little grocery store, diner, little mixture of everything. But the main thing is, in the front window, they had the spiral of comics. And I was like, oh my God, there's comics here. So for the 2 years I went to middle school, I never ate lunch, because I used my lunch money to buy the comics there. And that was, the collecting actually started at that point. That I actually knew that comics ran in order, and that there was a story, I think I found out that there's DC Comics and Marvel Comics. There was no independent comics. Well, there probably was, but I didn't know.
Only at the more obscure comic book stores.
Yeah, and at that time, nobody sold them like that, at the store. So, so that's when I started actually collecting. So, but that wasn't my first introduction to comics. So if you want the story, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, just want to say hi to Dr. Von Chilla. It sounds like he's had some health issues. That's another John. Dr. Von Chilla's real name is John. And
sorry to hear that, John. I hope things get better. So
he doesn't live far from. I don't think he lives in New Jersey, but he lives in that area, I think. Anyway, sorry. On with the story.
No, that's okay. So if people heard about Dover, New Jersey, that's where I'm from. Dover, New Jersey is famous for two things. Okay. The great train robbery happened in Dover, New Jersey.
Okay.
And the second is the big one for me, is the Joe Kubert School. That's where it all started for everything, because I hope everybody knows who Joe Kubert is, this famous artist for what, in the 70s?
Well, I think he was famous from the 60s on.
Okay.
But I mean, he was in comics since the 40s.
Really?
He famously started as like a 12-year-old, just like sweeping up around the office and stuff.
Oh, see, he didn't talk much, and he didn't talk much about his profession.
Right.
Now, because what I'll tell people is Joe Kubert was my neighbor.
Oh, like right next door or on the block?
He was across the street to the left, so it was across the street. So back then, my mom and my father is 100% Greek. Okay. I mean, literally, he came illegally from Greece to America, and that's a whole other story. Yeah. But and my mom met him, they fell in love, blah blah blah, and here I am. So in a Greek tradition family, maybe not too much now, but back then, the husband did the work, the wife stays home. Okay. Yeah. So my mom stayed home. She had two kids, me and my brother, who's 2 years younger than me. So but I had a next door neighbor, our real neighbor next door. Her name was Missy. She was like our adopted grandmother. She was really, really sweet. She used to clean houses around the neighborhood. Okay. And one of her clients was Joe Kubert. So what happened was that my mom always wanted to get out of the house. She wasn't really a house mom and everything like that, but she did it, obviously. So my next door neighbor asked my mom, say, look, this is a big place that he has. How about you come and help me clean his house and we'll split So my mom, took it, accepted. And for some reason, my mom became very good friends with Joe Kubert and his wife. I can't remember his wife's name, that's a shame. But we used to, they got so friendly is because sometimes when she cleaned the house, we came to the house and he was there, and we would call him literally Uncle Joe.
Wow.
He was Uncle Joe to us. Now, did I know who Joe Kubert was? No. Did I know how famous he was? No.
Did he have a drawing table in the house?
He had a lot of work in the house, but we didn't go that far. We were,
you were in the guest area of the house.
Yes. Yeah. Which wasn't that much. It had a couple, but again, we were so young. You don't think of that kind of stuff. But he, used to show us around with figurines and all stuff like that. And of course, you're a kid. That was cool, So, so Uncle Joe liked my mom, and that we became very good friends. So time goes on, and that, I don't know, a lot of people know this, but Joe Kubert opened up one school before the one there is now in Wharton, New Jersey, right? And it was a little, hey, Circum.
Hey, Marcus.
It was a glorified trailer, right? And at that time, it was only art. I mean, only drawing. It, where now it's a lot more writing, coloring, lettering. Back then, it was just for artists. So when that opened, they had a grand opening, right? And Uncle Joe asked my mom and my next door neighbor, could you help, like, deliver drinks, snacks to people and all stuff like that? And my mom actually served Stan Lee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she was kind of helping to sort of cater the grand opening.
Exactly.
And so there were people like Stan Lee and other comics.
Yeah, I don't know other
she
people.
Probably didn't know who they were, but
she had no idea who Stan Lee was. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
She had no idea.
So for all we know, like John Romita and John Buscema were hanging out with your mom, and she
it was like, who knows who could have been there, right?
Right.
So that school lasted a couple of years, and it got too big, you know? So then what happened was Joe Kubert bought out the middle school where it is now, right? So they renovated it, they did stuff, and it was a huge hit. Now you guys got to remember, this is the first school for comic books.
Right. It was kind of an underground thing.
Exactly.
At first. And just
people told him, are you crazy? What are you doing? You're going to ruin your legacy. You're going to be a failure. It's not going to work.
You lose all your money buying this school, probably.
Correct. Because look, it was a huge school. Huge. Okay. Yeah. So then they
must have had to take out a lot of loans or something.
Oh, I'm sure he did. So then a couple years go by, and I can't remember the time frame and all stuff like that. So
So at the time that you were, at this point, you'd already been over his house, or you're saying later on you were over his
house? I've been to his house multiple times.
And is this how comic books first entered your life?
No. Okay. So now, because you got to remember, we were probably 8, 9 years old, 10 years old around that time. It was like maybe a 2-3 hour.
When you went to visit Uncle Joe, did you know he was a comic book artist?
No. I had no idea.
He was just another friendly grown up in the neighborhood.
Well, yeah, but I thought he was another big kid, like like your cool uncle. That's what I thought. He was. I thought.
Were his sons around at the time?
Yes, but we didn't go too much. They actually didn't go to our school. They were homeschooled, Adam and Andy.
Oh, really? They were homeschooled. Okay. Yeah, they were also old. They were older than you, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Closer to my age, I assume.
Yeah. I don't know. No, aren't they younger?
Maybe.
Adam and Andy,
I don't know.
They are younger than me. So.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes, I do believe so.
Keep talking on. Just be off camera for a sec.
Okay. So what happened was that the school was doing very well, and my mom was still, cleaning his house. And I don't know how it got started that we had a live-in basement that, could house anybody and all stuff like that. And Joe found out about this and asked my mom how many people could live down in the basement. And she said 2, right? So he was like, can we have 2 of my top students stay there, because they're coming from New York and they're traveling and everything. And he said that he'll pay their rent. Okay.
I'm going to just pause a second because people are coming in. And the person who just came in, Higgy, is one of the biggest Joe Kubert fans I know of.
Oh, wow.
So we're talking here to John Spilio, who lived next door to Joe Kubert and didn't know how famous he was at the time. Sorry for interrupting the story. So he was talking to your mom about how many people could live in your basement.
Could live in the basement, and that if she would rent them out, because a lot of the students, I should say, were coming from out of town. Look, Dover is a small place. Very, it's not that big.
Right. So it might have been tricky finding housing for all the students.
Well, yeah. And again, a lot of them were coming from New York, from New York to Dover, 45 minutes. We're north New Jersey, you know, near Newark. So it's about 45 minutes. But still, that's a drive to do it every day. So my mom said, yes, you know, let's rent the basement out to people. So I remember the two guys that came in there. One guy was named Michael and the other guy was named Artie. Okay. So, and again, I'm 10 years old when this is happening,
right?
9, 10. And, you know, I'm curious, you know, when you're that age, you're curious, right? I was like, who the hell is downstairs? Who's living in our basement? What the heck is going on? They're not family. They're not, what the hell? Right. So I walked downstairs and the door happened to be open. So I walked in this room and it looked like a comic book store. There was comics all over the walls. There was posters all over the walls. There's books laying all over the furniture. There's art tables there. And I'm like, wow. So this is my first introduction to comics. Okay. And Michael was there. And he was such a nice guy. This guy, I remember, I have a memory of him drawing at the art table and me underneath it, sitting there looking through comics.
Oh man, that sounds like heaven.
He did. Yes. He used to draw me buttons.
The great minds think alike.
Yes, it was definitely heaven. You know, I was literally a pain in the ass. You know, I went down there every day and he used to make me buttons. I remember the first button, it was like a circle button of the thing that I kept for a very long time. Hey, Gray Man.
Yeah, Gray Man has jumped in. I mentioned Higgy, and John, but now we've also got Hans, Captain Strangelife, the originator of the comic book community in my mind. Ooh. So this is very exciting.
We got royalty.
For anyone who just came in, we're talking to John about students from the Kubert School living in his basement, and Joe Kubert was the neighbor across the street.
Yes.
So you were under Michael's table.
Yeah, and then he actually told me, and I remember a lot. It was a lot of Fantastic Four related stuff. So he must have been a huge Fantastic Four fan, right. And of course he had drawings and all stuff like that. I don't remember too much of the other guy, Artie. I don't remember too much doing that stuff with him, but Michael really took me in. And I think they lived there for a year or two. And of course, then they moved on. But that started my comic book journey. But the most funny thing about the story is that Michael is Michael Chen. Michael Chen right now is the dean of the Kubert School. So he hates me telling this story. Because I tell people your dean used to live in my basement, and he would always send me messages from Facebook. Like we were at MegaCon and, you know, Joe Kubert has a booth there. The school has a booth. So I would tell this story to the kids there. And I said, please do me a favor, go back to Michael and tell him I told this story. And just like clockwork, 2 days later, he would write to me. He goes, would you please stop telling this story? The kids are making fun of me. They think I still live in the basement.
Is he the one who does those kind of retro covers? Or am I confusing?
I don't think he draws. I don't think he draws anymore because he's actually the dean of the school.
Like, it takes up all his time.
Yeah, it takes up all his time. And what happened was a couple years ago, I don't know if Joe was still alive or not. Like I said, the school was so huge, right? They weren't using all of it. So part of it was like a waste. So what he did was he sold it. And now half of it is Walgreens. And
wow.
the other part of it is they actually got a comic book store in there
So the
too.
school relocated again to somewhere else.
No. The school is still there.
Oh, okay. They just share part of the
but
building.
yes, they're sharing the building with a Walgreens and a comic book store.
Uh-huh.
So, which makes sense because there's no comic book store near there. So
You're right. I was thinking of Michael Cho.
Oh, Michael Cho. Yeah.
He does those cool retro looking
covers. Oh yeah. So that's what got me going. Yeah. And so
you were under the table, you were there were just so many comics, you were just like flipping through and looking at the pictures at first.
Exactly. I didn't know the story. I didn't know anything like that until
boom, that flash
to middle school. And then actually I'm like, oh, here's the comics that I was with Michael. So, so here I bought a couple. I bought the Flash. I bought this Flash. I bought Green Lantern. I can't remember the copy. I don't know where it is. But so I became a huge nerd, so, and trust me, a lot of people know this, but I'll say this and everything. I was very bullied in school.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It was terrible. I even actually got scars in the back of my head from being beat up. Yeah, because what's sad is that I was a nerd. I literally was. I don't know what my parents were thinking. I was this big. I was skinny. I had poofy hair. I've had glasses since second grade. And I was not a smart nerd. Okay, I was very, very slow in actually reading, and to tell you, comics brought my reading up to par because I was behind in like a year in reading. So, but a lot of the jocks and everything would look over my paper, while we're doing a test, and I was like, don't copy what I'm doing because I don't know what it is. And of course I would fail. They would fail.
Wow.
And they would beat me up for it, and I got beaten up because of reading comics. I learned not to bring my comics to school anymore because when I did, they would, beat me up and then they would tear the comics and all. So that made me stop bringing the comics to school. But I have this one. It's funny now, okay. But
painful like I said, funny now.
Like I said, kids would beat me up just for no reason, just because I was there. I was an easy target,
Were you tall at the time?
No.
Okay.
Oh God, no.
Because I just remember in my middle school there was a tall guy who everyone picked on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. I didn't grow until my junior year in high school. So I remember I'm walking home from school, okay, by myself. And all of a sudden I hear this ruckus, right? And I'm like, what the heck is this? I turned around. There's about 5, 6 kids running my way, yelling at me, saying that they're going to kick my ass. No reason. So I start running, right? I'm running. And then I see these 2 girls, and I knew this one girl, Erin. I remember her name, Erin LaCapria. I don't know why I remember it. I had a crush on her, right? So I ran, stopped, talked to her, say, hey, Erin, how you doing? Oh, that's good. All right, man, I got to go. Bye. And I kept on running because they were still chasing me. So that was my days in school, So, and then comics became a lot more interesting because I started drawing them. And then I don't know if I wanted to be an artist or something, but I wanted to do something with the field. So then I actually started drawing a little bit more. And then I really got into comics, like way too much, because I wish I could show people that I literally have 55 long boxes of comics, you know.
Long boxes, not short boxes.
No, long boxes. And trust me, Brittany wants me to get rid of them. So, and they're from the 60s. Some of them are from the 60s. Most of them are from the 70s and 80s, and unfortunately the 90s. And I actually stopped because I went into the military in 1988.
So as a kid before the military, did you find a comic book shop? You were buying back issues?
Oh yeah, I actually worked. That was my first job. All right, I you know, I will tell you what happened at my first job. I was a customer at this comic book store. It was called Big Dave's Comics, and he was named Big Dave for a reason. He was a very, very, very large man. Okay, and I was going there every week to pick up my comics, and you know, and one day he stopped me, you know, before leaving, and he goes, "Hey, you seem to look like." You know a lot about comics. How would you like to work here? Because he was a comic book store and a cards store, like baseball cards, football cards. He knew a lot about cards, right?
I see. So he needed.
And so he goes, look, I need somebody to clean the back of the room and to put comics on the wall that will sell. So I was like, sure. And he goes, you could work for your comics. You know, at that time, I was like, I didn't need the money. Who cared? Because my money was going to comics anyway, you know?
Robbie's defending the 90s. If you squint at it the right way, yeah, you can.
Yeah, if you squint, you know, hey, let me sell my Valiant books to you, Robbie. Okay. So I took the job, right? And I worked there for a little bit, and I enjoyed it. It was so much fun. You know, it was only like 2 days a week. It wasn't, you know, I was going to school. So one day I'm in the back. I'm doing all the comics and all. And this one kid comes in. I say kid. He must have been teenager or something like that. And he must have had, hey, Bobby.
Bill's like Bob. He's watching you. You've watched Bill's like Bob for years. Now he's watching you. And Bob is a great guy.
Yeah, so. I love Bob. I love him.
Someday, hopefully, you guys will meet in person.
I hope so too. That's one of the things I would love to do when we go up there by you. This kid must have had multiple sclerosis or something. I don't want to say wrong. I don't know what the right term is. You know, I don't want to get canceled.
Cerebral palsy or something.
Something like that. And he had a little box of cards, right? He brought in, and he goes,
You're right, Robbie.
You're right.
We remember the bad stuff for some reason rather than the good stuff.
Well,
I loved Vertigo in the 90s.
So I saw him come in. He had a little box of cards. And a lot of people used to hang out with Dave. A lot of his friends, you know, older, you know, guys. The kid goes, I have all these cards that I want to sell. Do you want to buy them? Dave was like, sure, I'll buy them, but give me 15 minutes. He gave the kid some money. And he goes, there's a cafeteria down. Get something to eat or drink. Give me a half hour and then come on back. And the kid goes, okay. He must have been 17, 8. I don't know how old. I can't remember. But so I'm hearing, look, I know nothing about cards. Zero, zilch, right? But I'm sitting there doing my work, and I'm hearing these guys saying, you know, yell, you know, like not screaming, but like, oh my God, I can't believe he had like a Reggie Jackson. I remember some names, a Reggie Jackson rookie. He had some other rookies, like it was unbelievable. The collection this kid had, you know, they were like, oh my God, this is a fortune and all stuff like that. So the kid came back and he goes, so what do you think? And he goes, I'll give you $75 for the box. And the kid was like, oh, are you kidding? That much? Thank you. Thank you. And I'll tell you, once he gave him that money, I quit. But before I quit, what happened was I grabbed a bunch of comics and I put them in my backpack, and I left. And then I told them I quit, afterwards, right?
Uh-huh.
But the reason why I'm telling you this story is one of those books ended up being Giant Size X-Men #1.
You were just like blindly grabbing some books? Or
I just grabbed,
you just grabbed a fistful?
Yeah. It just happened to be that was one of them. Yeah. So
right.
I still have it. I don't know where it is. I know that sounds really cool. Oh, Helena, can't wait to see you. So
is that a Florida friend?
Robbie's friend.
Robbie's friend.
So I still have it. Again, I don't know where it is. I have to go through. It's in one of those boxes that I have. So then, after that with the comics.
Did he understand why you quit?
No.
Yeah.
No. No. I just told him I couldn't work there anymore because I can't remember what I gave an excuse, Right. So
you just didn't want to be part of kind of
I didn't want to be part of him. I realized he was a scumbag. And unfortunately, later on, I found out more, of a scumbag that he was.
Right.
And so.
Well, so you have made a good choice then of leaving.
Yeah. I know it's not the right thing to do, but, I was young and I was really, really upset that he did that and that his friends did that too. One of his friends could have said, hey man, not cool.
Right.
But none of them did. So that was the start of my journey. And like I said, I collected 2. I went into the military. I went into the Navy.
And did you have to get rid of your collection, or did you manage to save it?
No, I still have it.
House?
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah. I have everything from my collection. Never got
That's
rid
great
of it.
Because and many of us, have sold cheaply or lost our collections over time.
Yeah.
I'm glad you saw it.
My mom had it. The collection. Man, I can't remember. Getting old sucks, dude. I think my mom.
Did they save your room, or did you put it up in the attic or the basement or something?
They saved it. They saved the room. So
that's nice. So your childhood room was there when you went back to
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that my child room ended up being the basement. The basement where Michael Chen and Art, when they left, that became my room.
That became your room. Okay.
Yeah. And that's it. And my mom kept the books down in that room. So, and then after the military, when I went into the military, I went to boot camp.
You got to say to Brittany, my mom saved these books for years. We can't get rid of them now. That would be horrible.
Yeah. I'm lucky that they do fit in a closet, so they're out of sight. So, but every time she opens up the curtain to the closet, she'll say, mother. So, but yeah, then I went to the military, went to boot camp, went to submarine school, and then was stationed in Point Loma, San Diego. And then I picked up comics again.
I'm just curious, where is submarine school? This is totally off topic. But...
No, it's fine. Connecticut.
Right. I grew up not that far from New London and that area.
New London, Groton, Connecticut.
Right. Yeah. So of course I was gone by then anyway.
Yeah. I went there.
And if he's still listening, is probably very familiar with that area too.
I loved anything after boot camp is great, but submarine school was a lot of fun.
I didn't realize you had done that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I was in submarines while I was in the military, and the funny thing is that I got kicked off of submarines because of my height,
Right.
So I got too tall. The limit is 6'6".
So are you one of those people who kept growing after you were 18?
Yes. I grew to, I was like almost 21.
Yeah, I had a cousin like that. I was always taller than him, and then he just kept growing after I stopped.
Yeah, it's all fun and dandy, but at the time, they actually thought I had, what do you call it, gigantism, something like that.
Right.
Because, there is a thing that your body doesn't stop growing.
And that can be really horrible. Yeah.
Right. Your nose, everything. So I was like, oh, what the hell? But then, thank God, it stopped.
Yeah.
So, so like, 6'7", 6'6", somewhere around there. I really wish I was 6'3", because.
Well, I've seen how hard it is for you to fit in some cars and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And people don't understand the bed, clothes.
The world is not built for people over a certain height.
No. And I don't have the money to buy the special stuff that you need, like basketball players did, but
probably, I mean, even I at 5'11" or less now that I'm shrinking.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So a lot of places, then the shower is too low. So I can't.
Oh God! Oh,
really tall people.
That's the first thing I look at when we go to a hotel. I go straight to the shower and see where it is. Especially Brittany loves cruising, loves cruising, and I'll tell you, the shower head is right here on my chest. So
you're gonna get a back problem just from taking showers.
I do have a back problem, and that's probably it, But so going back, I collected in California for a couple of years. That's true.
That was tragic. That's a whole other story.
Oh God. So when unfortunately I got injured in the military, so I got off early.
So you got injured essentially because you got kicked out of the submarines in a way, right? I assume that exposed you to a different. Well, anyway, that's probably too much of another story.
Yeah. I don't like. I mean, I don't mind talking about it, but
yeah.
Long story short is I got injured during the Gulf War, and so I literally.
I assume you got an honorable discharge at that point.
No, I got a medical discharge.
A medical.
So yeah, I got a medical discharge. I'm a disabled vet and all stuff like that. So I go to the VA for my medical. So I don't need medical. Neither does Brittany. She's covered now that we're married. So, but she has her own medical now. It'll be good later on when we retire.
When you retire,
so,
you'll get good care.
Yeah, everything is covered except for medicine, but medicine is like 5% of whatever the medicine is. So it's nothing,
Okay. Well, that's good.
So,
but yeah, we're getting side. So you got out of the military.
And I brought my comics with me, and I moved back to New Jersey and back into the basement. And I kept in contact with Michael Chen this whole time.
That is awesome.
Mainly through my mother. Him and my mom
they became close?
Yes. Yeah. So he found out that I drew, and he said, why don't you come down to the school and let me see some of your art? And I was like, okay. And I remember this. I gave him my portfolio. It was nothing. It was just a couple pages of stuff, splash pages. It was nothing comics. It was just superhero standing. You know what I mean? And I remember showing him one of my work, and he looked at me and said, you didn't draw this. I was like, yeah. Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. Great to see you.
My DC queen. How you doing? So he didn't believe that I drew it. And I said, yeah, I did. He goes, no, you didn't. I was like, yes, I did. So after a while, he was like, you have to come to the school then. So I was doing Saturday classes.
Was he teaching at the school already?
Yes. At that time, he was. he was teaching. He wasn't the dean yet, you know.
Right.
So I went to a couple classes and I realized one thing. I can't draw for shit. Okay.
But you had that drawing that impressed him so much.
Now I could draw people. Okay.
All the other stuff.
But,
right.
And Robbie, here's my vodka and lemonade. Here's for you. Okay. You asked me to draw this.
Right.
It looks like a 3-year-old drawing. I realized that I cannot draw tables. I cannot draw a vase, right. You know, but people, especially for some reason, females, I could draw.
You're especially inspired by the female body, eh?
Well, you know, what I did was yes, very much. But back then, what was huge when I was growing up was bodybuilding magazines, Muscle and Fitness, you know, and so I used to buy a lot of those magazines, you know, to draw them. I wasn't interested at that time. At that time, I wasn't interested in bodybuilding. I wasn't into nothing. It was
that's just a great way to get models for your drawing.
Yes, I remember Rachel McClish, Corey Everson. You know, these were the big bodybuilders at the time. So they were, I guess you can say, they were my muse. You know, and then after drawing the females, I started drawing males and noticing that, holy crap, now look, I'm going to say this right now. I was not great. I'm saying that right now. But if you go on my Instagram account, there are some drawings on there. You could say I drew 7 of 9.
Oh, I'll have to look back.
Yeah. And my famous thing, and Robbie actually has a metal print of I drew Punisher and Ghost Rider together.
Uh-huh.
And I got a metal print made of it and sent it to him for his birthday.
So in the modern times with the variant covers that just have a character posing, you could probably do those.
Yes. I could be what they call in the industry a splash cover.
Sure. They're basically pin-up pictures.
Correct. Could I draw a story? Never. Never. Well, I didn't go that far.
It's amazing how good of an artist a real comic book artist has to be, because your average artist does just focus on drawing one or two things. They're a landscape artist or a figure artist.
Correct.
But a comic book artist has to draw it all. You have to be good at the human body, at cars, skyscrapers, airplanes, everything.
Yeah, but you got to tell a story.
People don't realize what a hard job that is.
Right. And what I remembered from what I remembered later on after I got into it, there he goes.
There should be a show of just you and Robbie, I'm thinking now.
Yeah. Oh, I would love that. That would be nice.
You both work at comic shops and you guys are such a good match. We should.
Yes. Yeah. He's truly my brother. I love him very, very much. We have like a kinship like no other. I don't know why it got started that way. It just happened. And once it just happened, then he knows my story a little bit more. I know his, and I feel like we have awesome connection, you know. But what I remember what Uncle Joe, whatever, used to tell me later on after he retired and all stuff, we still talk to him a little bit, that I remember him saying a lot of people make one mistake, one huge mistake, is when people bring their artwork to the conventions, to an artist and all of them bring splash pages. None of them brings them a couple pages of panels of a story with no words.
Right.
And that is a huge mistake that a lot of artists, do. And I was trying to tell people, how to do it back then. Like, I know shit. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I have a famous saying. I know everything about nothing. So, and then,
well, but I think it's natural because when you're showing your friends, they like the big splash pages or the
sure.
They're not going to be interested when you draw little panels, but that's what the industry needs.
Yeah. And, I was good with one expression, thank you, brother. Thank you. I was good with one expression. That's it. That's all my faces were. That's it. Or if it was a girl, so that was it. I could never show any. But
so you took this one class at the Kubert School?
Yeah, it was a couple months until I used the GI Bill.
So right. Was it like the intro to drawing?
Yes.
Class?
It was a part-time class because I honestly didn't want to do it. Right. But Michael, I didn't say he forced me. You know what I mean? But he really pushed me because I guess he really saw something in my drawings. He was like, you have to, he goes, if you're not going to come full time, at least go in the Saturdays. Yeah. So I did it, but drawing to me was fun. Drawing to me was a hobby. Right. To go with my other hobby of reading comics. Right.
So to learn to draw all the boring things would have been
not just that, but once it became maybe a job, a profession, whatever you want to call it, it wasn't fun anymore. I wasn't looking forward to going to the school. I wasn't looking forward of drawing something that my mind couldn't talk to my hand to put it on paper. It was very, very frustrating. And at this time, I am 20, 21, 22. Okay. We're not very smart when we're in that age. We think we know everything. Right. So I quit.
Young and dumb, I always say.
Yes. Yes.
I was definitely young and dumb.
Yeah. And I remember Michael Chen being upset with me for, let's say it, quitting. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Right. And my mom too. Still to this day, she'll give me the little rub.
Mom who wanted you to go to comic book school.
Yes. No, she did. She did. My mom, I love my mom. I look, I have great parents. I do. We weren't rich people, but we weren't poor either. Everything we asked for, most of the time we got. Atari 2600, so my mom was really, into my comics. There was not one time saying you're wasting your money, you're wasting your brain. She loved it. Yeah, so she was, like every mom would be, she was my number one fan, and then when I quit, she was like disappointed and all. So, but like you just said, we're young and dumb.
Yeah. So, but also maybe you made the right choice in that case.
I did by far. I did.
Because but like you say, and let's see, it was back here somewhere. You enjoy things you don't do for money more.
Yes.
And so I completely agree with Bottom Tier Collector.
Yes.
It's a luxury to not worry about money, of course. But
I have another
saying. Have to worry about money. But when you can afford to just enjoy something and not worry about whether you can make money from it, I think you have a much better time.
Yes. Yeah.
I kind of ruined science fiction for myself because I tried to make money for a living from it at one point.
Yeah, I almost did the same thing with comics. Yeah. Comics almost became like a memory of, I can't do this. Why am I reading it?
Right.
So I started not enjoying it. And I don't know why I got back into it. Maybe it was my best friend, Lewis. He was a collector. He made me go out to comic books.
After you decided after that class not to go into it, was there a period of not liking comics then?
Yes. Yeah. Very short. Short period of time, not
like
long.
a year or two, or
no,
longer?
no, like a
Not
couple
even
months, like a couple months,
Oh,
you
okay.
know. So, and then I started collecting again, and then unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say that because I got a son out of it, but unfortunately, I met my ex-wife. So, but
Sometimes you have to take the good with the bad. You got a
yeah, but
son, you have a rough relationship.
yeah, oh, worst 6 years of my life. Oh, it was terrible. She didn't stop me from collecting, but she made me slow down. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that was the good thing about it. So, and then what really, it wasn't
I'm just curious when, because just in terms of comics, when was this marriage that slowed you down on comics? Is it late
92 to 98?
Okay. Maybe a good time to slow down on comics. I don't
know. Yeah.
Although Robbie's right, there's lots of good stuff during the night.
No. But when I was starting back up, Valiant was hit. Lightning Comics, which I'm not surprised if you haven't heard of them.
I haven't.
The Ultraverse.
Definitely remember.
What was Neil Adams?
Continuity, I think it was called.
Continuity. I had all of them. I collected all of them. I still remember it was Dr. Solar, number 8, was the first black cover. All black cover. And I remember paying $90 for it.
Whoa.
And now how much is it worth?
50 cents?
Let's say $1. All right, give me something. So I remember that run. Yeah, I'm old, Carrie. I'm very, very old. Okay. So, but I'm young up here. That's what I try.
You're young compared to me. So just hang out near me and you'll feel young.
Yeah. But what happened is that we moved down to Florida. Okay. From Jersey to Florida, and my comic books.
You and the ex-wife.
Yes. We moved down here. Yeah. We moved down here, and the comics came with us. I had to get a trailer for our U-Haul for the comics, to tell you the truth. So I'm surprised it made it. And then got down to Florida, and I've been collecting, ever since still. Yeah, there's been some patches that it slowed down, not as much, when I met Brittany, I knew Brittany was the one because I met her in November 2nd of 1999, right? And I can remember it was 7:55 p.m. I'll remember this. Yeah.
And where was it? Where were you?
I was at her house in Fort Lauderdale. I met her, picked her up. Brittany and I met online.
Okay? Oh, I see. So when you first saw her, you knew you were going to see her because it was a first date.
Yeah, it was a date. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was. Brittany and I talked for 2 months on the phone because I was married and I gained a lot of weight. So I was a little chubette. So after the divorce, when I talked to Brittany, I wanted to lose the weight before I saw her. So I kept on delaying seeing her for like 2 months. Wow. Okay. So then when it was time to meet her, I thought I was, I was okay. I was decent. Okay.
I think that's the first thing everyone does is after the divorce is try to get back in shape.
Right. But I didn't know. Wait, look, I knew Brittany was out of my league. I didn't know how much out of my league she was when I first met her. Okay.
You managed to fool her somehow.
Yeah, I keep her constantly drunk. So she thinks she's drinking water. Nah. But, and like I said, and that was 24 years ago. But what I was saying is we met November 2nd, and that Christmas, she went to my comic book store and paid for the comics that I owed and gave it to me as a gift. So I knew, okay, she's the one. She's the one. So, right. And then, that's awesome. Like I said, still collecting to this day. Most of it is digital now. Working at a comic book store, been doing that for the last 9 months and everything. I've picked up a little physical comics here and there.
So when did you switch to digital?
About 5 years ago.
Okay.
For one reason and one reason only. Space. I don't have the space. Exactly. And I wasn't too much into the collecting. I was more into the reading.
More of a reader. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, to this day a little. I'm a cover buyer. There's some artists that I like that I will buy. Like Ultimate Spider-Man #1. I bought a copy. When I know if it's going to be a hit or anything like that, I'll buy a physical copy. But the majority now is digital, which I feel bad because I'm working at a comic book store and I'm reading digital comics.
Say that too loudly at the comic book store.
Yeah. No, my owner gets it. He does.
Hi, Biggie. Good to see you.
Hey, what's up, man? So, but I tell you, the last 9 months have taught me a lot about the comic book business, which was not in my knowledge at all. How things work.
Well, so your very first job was at a comic book store, and now you're back at a comic book store.
I'm back at a comic book store. So it's funny. Yeah, it's funny how things go around, right?
But now it's probably back then it was a simpler business, but also you weren't involved in the more day-to-day details.
Yeah, back then it was, back then they were strictly, his was different. It was a comic book store and a card store, which was unheard of back then, right? Most of them were comic book stores. That's it.
Yeah.
No toys, no nothing, just comics, Nowadays, they're a rarity, even our store has comics, has Funko Pops, statues, Star Wars, Transformers, anime, and the sad thing is, as my boss always tells me, the comic books, all they do is keep the lights on. They don't make money.
Do they get people in the door?
Yes.
That's what the comic shop I go to makes their money on back issues, but the fact that there's new comics every week keeps people coming back. So
yes,
people, I don't know if they're all like me, but I come in, I get my new comics, and then I inevitably get some back issues too.
Yes. Yeah, there's some people like that. There's more people, I'll tell you what, there is more people nowadays into is the anime, and which is good. It's good money, but the collectors of nowadays, the new ones, it's really sad to see somebody come in, get their books, go to the new release wall, and they see all these books that they want to get, but they can't because they don't have the money.
Too expensive.
When the books are $4, $5, freaking some of them are $8. People are like, for example, prime example. This week, right? Ghost Machine, Jeff Johns had the 3 books come out: Red Coat, Geiger, and Rook Exodus.
Right. They were just $3.99, which I appreciated.
Exactly. However, all 3 of them are freaking fantastic. All of them are great, right? But people, what they did was they picked them up, but they canceled other books. They didn't add to their list.
Right.
They canceled. And that's what's been happening, and I will tell you, I don't know if it's in our area or not, but indie comics rule in our area. Marvel is probably the least, and DC is there's a lot more DC readers than Marvel in our area. I know that's different other place else.
It seems to vary from area to area.
Yes, it seems to, you know, but ours is more indie. So, and people are getting upset of the prices, you know, like, why is DC charging an extra $1 for cardstock when whatchamacallit, Spawn is $2.99 cardstock and gray paper?
Yeah.
You know, so.
Right. It feels like Marvel and DC work in a very short-sighted business model.
You know what? And I want you to do me a favor. Next time you go to a comic book store, okay? I want you to either get a DC or Marvel book. Doesn't matter which one, all right? Then go to your back issues. Grab any book. I don't care. Put them side by side. I guarantee you the older book is in better shape than the one you have now. The paper today, what's happening at our store is that because of the heat down here in Florida, okay, the paper,
it's all wavy.
Yep. And what happens is the paper starts, the cover starts like bending, like
it curling outwards or something.
Curls. There you go.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
we use such cheap cover stock.
Yes.
I mean, even here where we don't have that level of humidity, I see the waviness, not the curl, and it's that the covers literally can't handle the amount of ink they put on them.
No. And I wish that comics would go back to having ads in them, not ads for other comics.
Ads that actually make them money. Yeah.
Yes. So they can use better paper, so they can use a better, because I'm telling you, this is what I learned at a comic book store, because I do the receiving, right? Because I was in logistics when I was in fire rescue. So that was my job. I did the receiving these comics from Lunar, Penguin, or Diamond. They come crappy. The way they package. Now, granted, Lunar, I can't remember if Lunar is better. Penguin sucks sometimes because they'll ship comics by themselves in like an envelope, and most of the time they come damaged, you know? So yeah, like I said, I've learned a lot being at the comic book store and seeing how the industry really is.
Right.
You know, how, I don't know what to say, finicky, or just, there is so much improvement that needs to be done to get new readers, to get, you know, just like you and me, I was, you know, 12 years old at East Middle School. You think I could go to that Carmen store and pay for a $4 comic? I can't.
Yeah.
Now, the kids today, they can't.
Well, yeah, I think the kids that are familiar at all with Marvel and DC are reading trades and maybe getting stuff out of the library.
Yes.
I mean, that's a huge improvement in my mind from when I was a kid, that you can get graphic novels at libraries.
Yes.
I am reading most of my DC and Marvel in their, you know, apps, which
they're unlimited.
Cost me less than $100 a month. $100 a year. And I feel bad because I'm only buying indies at the stores because so I'm not giving my money to the store as much as I might.
Right.
Marvel and DC were better, but they push the prices and lower the quality. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and the titles. Some of the titles out there, which, for example, Marvel has Night Thrasher. Okay, when was the last time Night Thrasher had a comic? So forever, right? So now they have a new comic, and guess what? It sucks. It's terrible. It's horrible. The
Right.
artwork is terrible. The writing is terrible. So they, there is no continuity. I think DC is doing a lot better job than Marvel, especially this Dawn of
Yeah.
DC. I
I'll
think
buy
it's
more.
great.
I'll buy more actual physical DC than I will Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Robbie just said, it's pathetic.
Right.
They're
Yeah, and
making
I've talked
money.
to a colorist who says he doesn't know what the paper will be like.
Exactly. Exactly. They don't know how it looks. Like what Robbie said. We finally got a good Blade book, but in the beginning, the color was horrible. Thank God the writing was great and the art was good, and it's better now. But then we can say this all we want, but Marvel's got to stop canceling their books and doing a new one. I can name, now working at the store, I know which ones are popular, not just in my head of which ones I like. Right. I could tell you the ones like Punisher, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight. Those were top selling books for Marvel. What did they do? They killed all three of them and started all over again. It's terrible. Blade is doing so well. Guess what they're doing? They canceled it.
Yeah.
On number 10. I think it's 10. I know this Blood Hunt is coming, and that's another thing.
Right.
That people are
that's the other big reason why I stopped reading a lot of Marvel is even if a book was good, it would soon be ruined by some event or something.
Yeah. Or like I forget
or rebooted before.
Yeah, Robbie's gonna kill me, but I forget the writer for the Black Cat series. Black Cat was awesome. But they canceled it every fifth or sixth issue, and then go to another series. Same writer, same artist, another 5-6 issues.
Barry didn't know Blade was canceled.
Oh yeah. How terrible is that, right?
Totally. See, DC pays a little more, and they get the better art and the better writers, I think.
Oh, you are not wrong. Oh,
but neither of them probably pay enough to really get good. And La Raza mentions this. Marvel said they're going back to $3.99, but when I've been looking at previews and stuff, I don't see any sign of that. I think that was just a bullshit thing.
I think so too. And if they do it, I give it 2 months, 3 months maybe, and they'll go back.
Right. It'll give them a brief sales boost.
Yeah.
Pretend that they're really doing it.
Yeah. And the Deadpool started again, and guess what? At our store, it didn't sell.
Yeah.
It didn't sell because people are tired of going number ones. I think Robbie said it with the Scarlet Witch. That book was doing well. They canceled it and made Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Well, guess what? They lost people because people are tired. They think that if they get the number one, that people are gonna buy more because it's a number one.
Right.
But they lose people. That I don't know why they don't understand it. Look at DC. They did the Dawn of DC. Best thing they have done. Shazam is freaking awesome. Titans is great. Batman and Robin is killing it. Batman Superman World's Finest is one of the best books out there. They've done it right. There is Power Girl. Look, I'm a Power Girl. Yeah, I love Power Girl. Poison Ivy. Where did that come from? That's a huge hit. It's huge. We can't keep it in stock. So number ones are reader friendly if they start off with number one, but they don't. What happens is a comic book will go through 1 to 6, cancel it, start in number one again, but it's not a true number one. If
you pick them up and you don't know what's going on, even though
it's a number one. If you didn't read the series before, you're freaking lost.
Right.
So, is it a true number one? No.
Right. I think
Exactly, Terry.
the better way, but it would take more investment, is when you want to juice up a book, bring on a creator that fans are excited about and promote that fact.
Correct.
Rather than starting a new number one. But they don't want to give more money to creators and have them be the stars, so they'd rather just reboot things.
Well, true. Prime example, Nightwing. Nightwing is DC's, I'm going to say, number 2 or 3 highest grossing comic, other than Batman, obviously.
Right.
And look at it now. It's 112. Keep it going. People will go on. People are not dumb. They could go, you know what? I'm going to read a Nightwing book. All right, it's number 99. I don't know what's going on, but if I keep up with it, guess what will happen? I will understand it. And if I'm smart enough to read a book and says part 3, I think maybe I'll go back 2 issues and buy and get it from the beginning.
Right.
DC and Marvel think comic book readers are stupid and they don't understand. Just freaking I tell people, jump in. If you like it, you might be lost a little bit. You might, but guess what? You'll get what's going on. We did that with TV when we were young. There was no, well, that we had the TV guide, but if you missed a couple shows, there was no reruns. There was nothing. So when you cut an episode, you'll understand. Exactly.
Yeah. You could easily retrain the readers to learn to just jump in.
Sure.
The number one thing was an easy out, and now they're just addicted to it. But I personally it may be unrealistic, but I just keep hoping that indie comics kind of take over. That comic book shops become mostly about indie comics, because that's what serves, like we're talking about how good the Ghost Machine books are.
Yeah.
Or both in the physical quality and in the quality of the material.
Or the biggest thing that has happened in comics in a decade, maybe I'm exaggerating, but freaking the Transformers, the G.I. Joe. You wouldn't believe Transformers in our store. Now look, we're a little store. It's about 2,200 square feet. Okay. We've been there for almost 2 years, so we're still growing. Okay. Mm-hmm. We got about 200 members, subscribers,
people.
Yes. Half of them are subscribing to Transformers. And I will tell you, after that, not counting the Duke and Cobra Commander, because they're still good, and Void rivals. But after that, there's a huge down. Like the next probably big thing is Batman, and then after Batman is another drop. Maybe Spider-Man is next, but the Transformers, that is blowing out everybody.
And Transformers is run by Robert Kirkman and his crew, who I think understand the world of comic book shops and how to sell to them.
Yeah. But not only is Transformers good, that people don't understand, Void Rivals is just as good.
The whole package is
correct.
Good. Correct. And I notice each time because I am not reading them yet, but each time I hear about a new book, it's written by someone who I already know is a good writer. It's not just whoever's cheapest, which a lot of licensed products are just like, let's get some either forgotten comic book writer or some brand new comic book writer to write.
Well, you're right. Unfortunately, IDW did that with the Transformers books, with the G.I. Joe books. They I'm not going to say there's bad art out there, because you know what? There isn't. All right.
They put people they don't have to pay much money to.
Correct.
And those people, to make money drawing comics where they don't pay you well, you have to put less detail in or less effort per page.
Yeah, I tried the Transformers books at IDW. I couldn't follow it. And I like Transformers, you know, but you are right with the independence.
Yeah.
You know, look, Image is its own animal.
The movie pitch thing is a little troubling at times too. And I feel like, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in the past year or 2 years, the indie comics are suffering, and probably because there were too many indie comic companies, and some of them were just these movie pitch companies. So it watered down the.
You can tell by reading a book if it's if it was meant for a pilot. You can tell because you know they don't make sense, the reading, but you could see it as an episode of a TV series.
Well, I believe they're replacing Daniel Warren Johnson with Corona.
Yes.
And he's a fantastic artist. So they are not like cheaping out after he's gone.
No, I just saw the book. Oh, do I have it with me? No. Dang it, I didn't bring it home. I saw it. And it is Warren Johnson light. You could tell Corona tried to be in the mold. Okay. So it's not really Corona, but it is. But it is still good. It's a little bit more cartoony than Johnson, but the art it does not suffer. But to follow a guy like that, I would never want to do that to begin with, you know. But
I'm so ignorant, but is Destro another one of those Transformer?
No, he's the bad guy for G.I. Joe.
Oh, G.I. Joe.
If you remember, he wore like the silver face.
Oh, okay. I've seen that.
So
Dan Waters is a great writer. So yeah, they're bringing in the strong people there.
Oh, and also Scarlet
here whining to me. Saying, pay more attention to me, not this computer in front of you.
Yeah, not this ugly guy on the screen. But yeah, and they got Scarlet coming out, and and everybody is, what I love about it, everybody is excited. We got people, you know what comics lost is that water cooler you know, talk. You know, people weren't talking about books. People weren't excited about books. Now people are like, did Transformers come out this week? And we'll be like, no, that's next week. Oh, we get that so much now. We don't get that with Spider-Man.
I think before, there was a number of years ago, it was Saga. Oops, the cat just did something. Saga and The Walking Dead. And when both of those ended, a lot of people stopped going to at least my comic shop. Saga ended and came back, but
but I'm telling you right now that, I hate to say this, but that was one of the worst decisions they made for Saga to come back, because they weren't ready to come back. They're on a hiatus again, and people dropped it. They're tired of it. And you know what?
Stopped thinking about Saga.
And you know what people are doing now? I'll wait for the trade.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
And we may or may not even remember them when the trade comes out.
Exactly. You know? So speaking of trades, Boyd Rivals just came out. So you should get it.
Yeah, I will get that trade. Too many people I trust. You know what? I know nothing about G.I. Joe or the Transformers. I'm old.
You don't need to. You honestly, you don't need to.
Right.
They don't really push or care about mine. Oh, yeah, it's true.
My shop's a nice shop, but they mostly know back issues. That's their knowledge base.
No, we try.
And go ahead.
What I like about my store and my boss is, and Robbie knows this, like I just got comics delivered to me yesterday for next week. Okay. So I get to bring them home. I get to read them. Even the books that I don't read, like he'll be like, hey, read this book. It's very interesting. And that book for me this week was actually Red Sonja. Okay. Now, Dynamite, whatever you say about them, but I really like Red Sonja. Have not liked what they have done in the last couple years, and especially the Savage Red Sonja. The artwork is
I was going to say, nice. I was trying Red Sonja for a while, and the art just kept getting worse and worse.
Well, I'll tell you, get this Red Sonja Empire right now. It is on Conan level.
Oh, really?
Art is great.
What's it called again? Red Empire?
It's called Empire of something. It's Red Sonja Empire something.
Okay, I'll look for that. I mean,
it's fantastic.
Sword and Sorcery, especially, if it doesn't have a good artist, it just doesn't work for me.
Wow, look at that. You're talking about independence. What about the Conan book from Titan Comics?
Right, and they have invested in good writing and good art, and it's made such
holy crap. Is that book? It's funny, when it came out, we had 2 subscribers, right now we have 20, and they're on what, issue 9?
Yeah,
because word of mouth was we couldn't keep that book in stock because people was like, who the hell is Titan Comics? You know? And then they just put out, right, Higgy, then they just put out the Savage Sword of Conan, which was freaking fantastic. The only negative thing about it is I don't know if they told people about it or I didn't know about it, you know. But it's bi-monthly. It's every 2 months. People are like, where's number 2? Where's number 2? Right. Because they couldn't wait because number 1 was so great. So, you know, DC and Marvel should look at these independents. Empire of the Damned. That's correct.
Right.
So thank you, Carrie. Get that.
Well,
and
in
then
my fantasies, DC and Marvel, especially Marvel, would be spun off as its own company and not run by the executives in the mothership company, who is probably just saying, you know, get us these numbers this month. And so they're just scrambling to appease their overlords every month rather than having a long-term view of things.
Well, look at what Marvel did. Well, look what Marvel did with Conan.
Yeah.
Okay. They couldn't, you think they got the readership as Titan does now? No.
And I was reading Conan for a while and the art just kept getting worse and worse. And eventually I just fell away.
I like Conan and Savage Avengers.
That I stuck with. Yeah.
I love that because
that had a writer who understood Conan too.
Yeah. And Conan and Punisher. So that was a win-win for me.
I thought it was going to be horrible actually, but then it turned out.
So did I. But it was actually really good. Even the second series was good too, you know?
Right. Although that was your typical thing. They canceled it and then started it again.
Exactly.
For no particular reason.
Yeah, so stupid. So what are you reading more? Are you reading more Marvel or DC? Not independent. That's fine. But
a little more. I mean, as you probably know, I just restarted my pull list at the end of January. And so far, more DC. I have one Marvel comic on my pull list, and that is Planet of the Apes, because of the guy that Travis interviewed at the con. That's how I found out about it.
Oh, okay.
Mark Guggenheim. He made a really good impression, and it's been his Planet of the Apes comic has been quite good, but it's only a 6-issue or 5-issue thing.
Yeah. You know, again, Marvel screwing up, whatchamacallit, Aliens. We had a lot of people who were so psyched for the Alien book.
I tried one issue of Aliens,
gone. Nobody's reading Aliens except for this new What If, because Paul Reiser has something to do with it, and it's his character, so people are interested in it a little. But up, Stu, my brother.
Excited to see you. Transformers 7 added 20K pre-orders with a new artist. That's how you're doing it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they are killing it. You know, they are making DC and Marvel look like fools.
Right.
You know,
if you're putting out a good comic and not doing all the rebooting stuff, my comic book shop said, "Hey," when I came back, they said, "Hey, World Tree is really popular with our readers, and we've got a trade." And I said, "Okay, I'll try the trade." And I read the trade, and then I immediately added it to my pull list.
Right.
So you don't have to rely on new number ones if you have a good buzz going and the people in the shops understand that you have a good book.
Yeah. So let me, since you brought up World Tree, I have a question for you. What would you rather comics do?
I guess there is a fan of the Alien books out there.
Oh.
Sorry, Gary.
No, that's great. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's something, but like at our store, people are like, I don't know which one to, what happens is people don't understand. They'll get number 3 of this issue and number 2 of the following series. And they're like, I'm lost. I'm lost. Why, why doesn't this make sense? But the question I have for you is this: what would you rather the comics do? Is like Black Cat. You got number 1 to number 5, and then they reboot. They do it, same artist, same writer. Or would you rather do like what World Tree did? They did number 1 to number 5, had a hiatus a little, and then started with 6 and 7.
I like that hiatus plan. As long as the hiatus isn't too long, the way
No. That was the problem with what was that DC book? The Last House on the Lake.
Oh, right. Was there a big gap there?
Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah, I actually dropped that because I was having trouble keeping track of the characters, and I thought I'll wait to the trade and read it.
And that's what a lot of people did. That trade sells. We can't keep it in stock, But
so there is a problem with hot books, because I can't find Ultimate Spider-Man #1, so I'm probably would wait for the trade. Except because it's Marvel, I'll just read it on my iPad, which I know is not good for the shops.
Yeah, Robbie is right. In the Marvel field, I think Ultimate Spider-Man was another.
Yeah,
I'm
hearing great things.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic.
But see, that's the rarity. They bring in a big person like Hickman, and they pay the money for a good artist and a good writer for a little while. And then that usually goes away, and then there's bad art and writers who are, not being paid enough to spend much time writing it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
that's my impression of Marvel. That sure, if they bring in a really good writer and let him do, not interfere with him too much, it's going to be
Look
good.
at the Hulk book. I know you don't read the Hulk, but the Hulk book could be.
I plan
awesome.
to read the Hulk book.
Well,
but probably digitally.
Yeah.
I'm a Hulk fan, and I've heard that it's good when the right artist is drawing it.
When Nick Klein is on it, freaking amazing. However, what is it? He lasts maybe an issue or 2, then they go to somebody else. Exactly. Human Target, freaking phenomenal.
Right.
If you haven't read that, Damien, you have to.
Oh no, I did read that.
Oh, good.
That was still good. That started when I still had a pull list, and I finished it out. Yes. I love that because again, there DC was paying, willing to pay an artist who could take his time and do a really good job.
Yes, and I don't know what Tom King does. I don't know if he has sex with these people or something, but
he has a way of getting the good artists.
Getting good artists. So he knows something. So
yeah, I mean, I think I think ultimately they need to really value the creators, and when they do, they get good results.
Yes, and I don't think Marvel is doing that.
Right, they don't want it. And it may or may not go all the way back to the whole Image thing, because after all the Image artists left them, they swore to never promote artists again.
Well, they should, because
I've heard that from people who worked in the Marvel bullpen.
Oh, that's terrible. I mean, because right now, Avengers Twilight.
That's another one. I can't find all the issues. So you have to, well, with the indies, it works really well. They do the first arc, they take a little hiatus, you can pick up the trade and jump in. So
yeah, Twilight #3 just came out this week, second printing. So, they are, I mean, Marvel is, at least they're trying, but that book is freaking amazing. But all their books should be like that. All of them.
Right.
There's no reason, look at Captain America. Captain America right now is the strongest it's been in years
I
because
didn't know that.
they're paying the artist and the writer, and it's consistent.
Oh, I'll have to dip it.
Wonder Woman. I mean, Wonder Woman is not a big seller, unfortunately,
Right.
but she
It
is
never has
now.
been, I think.
Yeah, she is now.
Is that the Tom
Because Tom
King
King.
Wonder Woman we're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice to see that because I think everybody else, and I'm the same way. I'm getting tired of Batman. There's too many
Yeah.
Batman books. How many
Batman is their crutch.
Yeah, but it's starting to get to the readers where they're like,
Yeah.
I'm Batman out, man.
Right.
So
And I'll go in and look and I'll say, wait a minute, I've heard people talk about a good Batman, but which one of these ones is the good one?
which one is it? Which one is it? Like I think right now for me is the Batman Superman book, but that's me. I know the detective is good right now. Batman and Robin is huge because a lot of people love Damian and all stuff, so that's great. Yeah, but yeah, they don't put it. They don't. If they put more money into it, if they lowered prices, put ads in comics, do better paper and covers, I'll tell you right now, the comic book industry would soar.
But number one in my mind is pay for the good artists and writers, because then I don't feel mad when I've paid more money than I really would like to. But if I read a really great comic book, I don't end up saying, damn, these comics are too expensive. I mean, I still would like them to be more affordable, but I just read the new Michael Allred Batman, and that was a higher price one.
Yeah.
But I loved it, so I didn't really worry about the price so much.
Exactly.
But when you buy a mediocre comic, or you buy 10 mediocre comics, and then you say, wait, why did I spend this money?
Yeah, that's $40.
Yeah.
You get 10, that's $40. Okay, I mean,
at least.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I ring up people at my work, at my job, right? And you know how many times I hear, oh man.
Right.
Almost like 20, 30 times a day. They'll be like, whew, this was a bad week. So, Oh, yes.
Yeah, see, that looks sad if they just pass after Hickman makes it a big seller, they'll pass it on to some hacks or something. And I don't mean to put down the people paid less money. I just think because they're paid less money, they aren't able to put more effort into it.
No. You got to get these people to go, like I say, you got to get them to go full guerrilla, because if they don't, you're going to get shit. And unfortunately, there's more shit out there than good.
Right.
And the good, people are not finding the good, because I don't know what it is with people. Like Robbie says a lot. You're reading Amazing Spider-Man, okay? You freaking hate it, right? You hate reading Spider-Man. So why are you still reading it? Because we are programmed to keep on getting it, because we're always hoping maybe it will get better. Or if we miss the issue, that's going to be the issue that's going to kickstart the goodness. You know what I mean? So there is so much hate reading in comics, which I hate. Pun intended. So, and people got to learn to go. If I tell you right now, if people left Spider-Man, okay, to go read something else, I would hope Marvel would look at it and say, oh, people are not reading Spider-Man anymore, so we got to do something.
Someone else who I don't know who knows you.
Hey, Jamie.
I'm getting new followers. Thanks,
Jamie. Thank you.
Now I lost track of my thought, but
Like, for example,
it seems like a place like Marvel is like a headless company. Like there's not, I'm sure it's not true, but it feels like there's just not someone who's understanding the big picture properly there.
Correct.
And they're just making almost random choices here or there. And occasionally it ends up being a good choice, like when they get Daniel Warren Johnson to do a comic book, or they get, Jonathan Hickman to do something good. But then the rest of the time, it's just random. And they think the artists are interchangeable and all of that.
It's terrible. Like, okay, you're ahead of Marvel, okay? Spider-Man is your number one. It's supposed to be your number one guy, right? It's doing okay. It's, you hear stuff that people are not liking it or whatever. You throw out Ultimate Spider-Man, blows up. It's quadrupled the sales of your Amazing Spider-Man. Doesn't that tell you something?
Right.
Shouldn't you be like Marvel, be like, wow, people really do love Spider-Man. Maybe we should be doing better with our number one guy. So, I mean, DC, like, yeah, they're doing it right. They're putting their main guys on DC. The artists, I can't remember, I can't say his name. What is it? Jorge Jimenez?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, come on. Put that stuff on Spider-Man. Look, I know Robbie loves JR. I do too. Okay? But it must be somebody who's coloring or inking him. It's not the same.
Right. I've heard Robbie talk about the coloring and problem, and I can see that JR does not have the right style for just your average modern coloring job.
Correct. Same thing that happened when he was on Superman. It's the same thing. Yeah. It didn't look, I don't want to say right, because he's phenomenal. You know what I mean? But people are not interested in that. And, what I heard was this. I will tell you something that I did hear, like with the Spider-Man books. This is what I heard. I heard that since Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Marvel does not want to do much with the Spider-Man character, because have you noticed Spider-Man is only in his own events, like Gang War or something.
So he's
have you seen Spider-Man in any other events outside? Not really, because if Marvel puts, I don't want to say Captain America, but if Captain America is in a storyline with Spider-Man, then that gives Sony the chance to use a Captain America. So they have to be careful with what they do with Spider-Man. So I think they're not using the full potential of Spider-Man because of this Sony deal. I've heard that from inside people. I don't have that many people, but right. But I've heard that Marvel cannot use Spider-Man to its potential because they're worried about this stupid Sony thing.
Right. Well, and that's why for a while they tried to make the Inhumans bigger than the X-Men, which didn't work.
Yeah. No.
And also I think why for a while they had no Fantastic Four, because of that rivalry with some other film company. But,
yeah, with Fox. Yeah, they were upset. So it's, like I said, I've learned a lot more being at a comic book store.
Right.
The inside stuff. It's fascinating, but it's also sad.
Yeah.
Too.
I wanted to go back to Phil's question. I'm guessing the answer is that when a comic book shop person is looking through previews, they don't know which are going to be the good ones in advance.
No, because nobody, I don't care who you are, I don't care if you're not what is that, Nostradamus or anybody.
Nostradamus.
Nobody saw Ultimate Spider-Man
to
be as big as it is. Nobody. Okay. Avengers
Marvel if you knew that Marvel always put out good books, that would be much easier for you to order than trying to guess which out of 50 books this month is going to be the good one.
Exactly. You know, people don't understand that the comic book stores are ordering on a feel, on one, memberships, two, a comic, and two, again, a feel. Like Avengers Twilight, we sort of knew it was going to be big because of the artist, Daniel Acuna. Freaking fantastic, right. You know? So we sort of knew, but we didn't know how big it would be, because you got to have, you got to have a crystal ball sometimes. Robbie can say this. You have to figure out like what you're going to buy. Like people don't understand Beast World, okay? Beast World came out for DC on a weekly thing. So comic book stores had to see how much are they going to order on something that they didn't even know what is going to sell. Because, you know, at least you have like a couple, we didn't know that Beast World was going to do well or not, and to get the minis. So we had so many books, especially like for Night Terror. Night Terror was a nightmare to be because books were coming out that you didn't know that was doing well. We have a stack full of Night Terror books that we can't get rid of, and that's money wasted. People don't understand. Go to a comic book store, you see all these comics on the wall. You know what the owner sees when he sees all those comics on the wall?
Money,
wasted money. That's we figure it out at our comic book store. Again, we are only 2,200 square feet. We looked at all the comics that are on our wall that are like recent, like in the past 3-4 months, right?
Right.
$20,000 sitting on the wall.
And ultimately, you'll have to sell them for some small percentage of that, if you can sell them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. We have people who sell and, you know, and get store credit and all stuff like that. And they lose money because most comic book stores will buy 30% of what the dollar amount is. So if the book is worth $1, we're going to buy it from you for 30 cents. So,
yeah. You know, it'd be fascinating. Well, I don't know if you guys would want to do it, but I would be fascinated if you and Robbie did a video where you went through the FOC list and gave your thoughts on how to order.
Sure.
That would be fascinating.
I would love to do that. Now that
I don't know if Robbie is still watching.
I don't know. Now that you broke my cherry.
Yes. I got to you first.
Yes. And you know what they say? You never forget your first.
Okay? Yes.
No, because I didn't know I would enjoy doing this, and part of me was nervous and all stuff. But you were very gentle with me.
It is hard the first time. I'm not talking about sex. It's
oh, okay.
It's difficult the first time, just because you're just not used to it, and you get more and more used to it as you do these.
Yeah. It's very different.
But I think you're a natural. I think you're.
Thanks. But it's very different talking to a screen than a person. People don't. I don't really understand that. But
sometimes your brain goes blank in ways that it won't when you're talking to a human being.
Yes. Yeah. You know, and also to be in the spotlight or something like that is also, you know, different too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think this might be a good time to end the show. And my daughter will be coming home from school soon.
Okay. Nice.
And but I definitely want to have you back on again.
Sure.
And maybe we could try pulling in Robbie and Travis if they're available.
That would be great.
Also, I think you and Robbie would be a natural, just the two of you, if it.
Yeah, if he allows me on his station, on his channel, because he's award winning. So I don't know if I.
No, I don't. Qualify. You know, if his channel's too important, I could have both of you guys on, and I could just sort of sit in the background as a referee while you chat.
There you go. Let's start.
I mean, there is a factor of you don't want to put too many shows on your own channel. You know, so a channel like Robbie's, I don't know if he thinks about how many videos I want to put out a week, kind of thing.
So when's your next video?
My next video?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was going to do one of my sleepy vlogs where I talk about a bunch of random subjects. And then Ed Piskor's death. Ed Piskor's death really threw me.
Yes, that was.
So, in fact, I was almost tempted to bring it up at the beginning of this show, but it's just a hard thing to talk about. And it has so many different issues are brought up by what happened to Ed Piskor. And I miss him a lot, actually, because I loved their channel. But and I'm horrified about the way it played out. So
yeah, and it's really sad and maybe also good that other networks are picking it up too, not just the comic book industry. Yeah. You had your more qualified, I don't want to say qualified, but non-comic book people were actually talking about it, and it was nice too to hear his name brought up in a positive way too. There's a lot of people that just knew Red Room. They didn't know his other stuff, so it is a shame.
I didn't read Red Room because I don't like gore, but
no, neither did I. But
I really appreciated him as a member of the community.
Yes.
So that makes it even worse that in some way the community helped kill him.
That's what I was going to say.
It's really, really heartbreaking. And
that one line from him saying, I don't know, I'm not going to do a quote from quote, but he said, "You internet bullies murdered me."
Yeah.
That right there, that is very powerful of what was going through his mind, So
I liked his X-Men books.
The grand
design.
Yeah.
And
didn't he do the Hulk one too, or is that somebody else?
No, that was one of his friends.
Okay.
I think that was his co-host who did the Hulk one.
Oh, Jim Rugg.
Jim Rugg, yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, there needs, when I talk with my daughter and we talk about all the homophobia that I grew up with, when I was in high school, I didn't even really know anything about gay people except we were supposed to be against them. And she can't believe that because everyone's so positive about gay people in her high school world. But every generation this is our McCarthy era type of thing, where there's no dialogue, there's no discussion, there's no forgiveness in this sort of online professional world, at least for certain careers, and that has to change. So,
well, innocent until guilty does not exist anymore.
Right. And even what he was being accused of really should just be something that should be discussed between fellow professionals and say, we need you to change your behavior if there was bad behavior.
Yeah. Well,
not your career is over, all your friendships are gone. I don't know. I didn't want to.
No, that's fine. No,
I could go on and on about all this stuff, which is the problem. But
it's important because, okay, I'm not making light of what he did or taking somebody's side. I'm not doing that. But if what he did, if he did it, it was wrong. But he didn't act out on it. He never touched her. He never met her. He never went to the act of where the final judgment was his life. That's stupid. It is dumb.
He flirted online with someone who he initially wasn't sure if they were 17 or 18.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Yeah.
But again, he didn't do anything. The justice.
But like I say, and other people have been canceled also for things that, in my mind, should have just been, a discussion between professionals.
Yes. Where this stuff, I don't understand.
The other ones did not kill themselves, but I'm sure their lives were hellish at some point.
Oh, God, yes. I don't know where we started where that, if I did something to you, okay?
Right.
Something bad, you didn't like what I did. I will call you and say, I'm sorry. Where did it start that I have to go on here and publicly say, Damien, I just want to let you know I'm sorry for what I did. Right. When did that start?
But in this cancel culture, if you go on and say you're sorry, people usually say that's not good enough. I mean, that's what happened to Brian Wood, who drunkenly tried to pick up less successful comic book creators at parties, and he got canceled. And there's other people with similar stories, and there might be a few people who got canceled who really were awful. But these things need to be acted upon in a reasonable way, and the whole online discussion, and then the online McCarthy era kind of behavior, where once you're tagged, once you have the scarlet letter on you, it's over.
It's over, and no matter what you do, good enough.
At least, and that's certainly what I mean. I think that he looked at what happened to other people who got canceled, and for him, his comic book life was maybe even more than most comic book creators who put a huge amount into their career. His whole life. But anyway,
long story short is that the industry lost a good creator.
Right.
End of story. And it could have been prevented. That's the problem. It should have never happened. Yet, I just wish, obviously, the ending was different. I'm sure a lot of people did. That letter he wrote was heartbreaking.
And Carrie, I want to say to you that I understand wanting to, because in the past, women were not believed or not taken seriously, but there has to be a middle ground where dialogue can be opened rather than just accusations. It should be a learning experience for someone like Ed Piskor, not a end of life experience or an end of career experience, in my mind.
Well, we didn't even get
to hear different if he tortured people or did something really awful. But
there you go. I just was upset because we never got to hear his side of the story until it was late.
Except by killing himself.
Yeah. It's a shame. It's a shame. People, as a whole, we have to do better. All of us.
Yeah.
We have to. The internet has really tarnished the way people think, the way people act. And unfortunately, some of the stuff is coming out that is really sad. So the comic industry, we've heard many bad things about it.
Right.
You would hope that it's getting better. So, but I just hope as a humanity, we become better people and all stuff. Right. And we're so fast to judge. That is the problem. We are so, I don't care whose side you're on. If it's a male against a female or it's a male, we're so, to judge. Let's hear the story out, and it's the same thing, on a lesser subject. It's with James Gunn with Superman. People are already saying he sucks.
Oh, really?
And that it's terrible. The freaking guy hasn't even done the movie yet. And people already saying DC sucks, James Gunn sucks. It's people. I don't understand. When
people
did this start?
Enjoy this too much.
Yeah.
Calling people out and all of that stuff.
Yeah. I just think people need to see the problem with everything. You know what I mean? They just have to nitpick everything. Like these Twitter, X, whatever, warriors, they got to complain about something. If they don't, then they don't have a life.
Luckily, we live in a happy little niche of the internet, and we all love each other. And it's I'm so glad I met you, and I wouldn't have if it weren't for the internet. And
exactly, no.
I want to end on an up note there.
Yes,
and
this
all the
community
people
is awesome.
every single person who's been in the chat is a wonderful person that I, except for a few people who maybe just knew you, who I already know to some degree and have positive feelings about them all. So we haven't had any trolls. No problems.
No, that's good.
Not even a bot, which sometimes happens in these lives.
Oh, one of those sex bots?
Or just some weird bot. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say bye-bye to everyone. Thank you, John.
This was awesome. So thank you, Damien. I really appreciate, and you like being patient with me. So
you're now an on-screen personality, not just the guy in the comments.
Oh boy.
We'll talk to you all again soon.
All right. Take care, everybody.
I'm pressing end stream. There's always